Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
You look like you've bulked up a bit, Brendan.
The what?
You look like you've bulked up a bit, man. You've been
Oh,
hitting
this
the gym
shit.
a bit.
I'm a CrossFitter now, buddy.
Yeah, good on you, man.
Yeah.
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 Whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on.
I just wear a bigger jumper.
Let's have a break to say
Well, this is me being recorded. I feel violated.
how good. Hat.
That's the start of it, is it?
Well, it is now because I generally don't edit. So normally I go,
Are we going?
yeah.
All right,
yeah.
okay, we're going.
I go hats and then I get
Brendo, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate.
This-
What pod is this going to be?
I don't 90,
98,
99, something like that.
yeah. Right. So
We're getting close.
yes, and as our listener can hear, we do have a guest who is a longtime friend of mine. Went to high school together, played in a band together. I don't know what the fuck else we've done. Haven't seen you for a little while, mate. You're a keen golfer.
You've been a bit too cool for school, mate.
Oh, whatever. All right, Bernie, how are you, mate?
Yeah, been good, man. Good to see you guys.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So the reason we have you on, right, is that you started just pinging me the odd message about Bitcoin. Actually, and I'm assuming that you pinged them to me because you knew I was into Bitcoin, yeah?
Yeah. So I remember you mentioning a couple of years ago, I think, and that was when I didn't really know fuck all about it.
You can't swear. Sorry, you can't swear on this pod, mate.
Oh, sorry, mate.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You can do it like
It's
Bernie.
filthy.
Okay, all right. So yeah, and then at that point, I just thought it was like just sort of a day trading sort of thing. You hear of crypto, and it's like I just thought it was like sort of all the other crypto stuff. The sort of the stereotypes. So I didn't think of it as sort of a long-term investment sort of alternative.
Yeah. And very early on, I think when you started asking me, as a Bitcoiner, you get excited when a friend reaches out out of the blue. You just go, oh yeah. So I talked to Hats. I'm like, dude, I got a mate here. He's almost there, almost orange pilled. We should either A, just have a chat to him to kind of answer any questions, and B, just try to properly orange pill him. You've actually just gone ahead and gone down that rabbit hole already. So congratulations on saving yourself.
Yeah. I mean, so I was saying this to you, Bernie, before. Bernie and I just met about 10 seconds ago, right? So what we had hoped to do months and months ago was do like an orange pill live, try and convert somebody to a Bitcoiner that doesn't know anything at all. And actually we had a person, and that person pulled out. No need to get into that, but and I think
I know that?
Yeah, but it's a
lot. Oh yeah.
And sorry to Chris, because I promised Chris it would happen and it never happened. Sorry, Chris. But and I think they pulled out because they were afraid of looking stupid. I think that's what happened.
Yeah. Is this the nurse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that didn't happen, and we've always wanted to do it. So I had hoped this was going to be but unfortunately, as you say, Bernie's gone ahead and jumped.
Unfortunately,
no, well,
did you say unfortunately?
Well, unfortunately, it's not. We can't. No, well, unfortunately, in terms of being able to test our ability to bring somebody in, it was not going to happen because he's already jumped and done it himself.
Which is what you sent a message to me. I think today saying I thought we were orange pilling him. I'm like, yes, but I'm not going to tell him to not buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, sell that again, and then we'll try and convince you.
Yeah.
So, I guess I start with what made you take that step. Was there an event or a feeling or a situation that you are in that made you go, hang on, I'm going to have some of this?
Yeah, well, kind of like, just sort of, a couple of personal things that I've gone through, and also just the, recently, I was looking into buying a home, and then the, and we needed a massive deposit these days, like, not far off $100,000. So it was really hard to save, and but then I got hit up with this university bill, because I didn't have to pay that off for years because I wasn't in teaching. I was, and then they're like, oh no, you don't have to pay until you earn over a certain amount. And then we got this indexation this year, which was 7.1%. And then on top of, and so I looked at that and I'm like, well, wait there. It started at like, you know, and I'll give the approximate figures. It started at around 25,000, I agree. Now it's 40 or even over. And it's gone up every year. And I just thought, this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. I'm like, fuck that, I'm not paying for it. Like, because what happened is that I didn't get any tax back because it all went on that. And then it went up still with all of that. And I was paying a little bit off. So I'm like, that does not make sense. So just things like that. And the fact that when we went for the house, they're like, oh, your HEX bill is a liability. Wasn't 2 years ago. So that was a big, like, sort of like, you know, a bit of a sort of push to start to get me thinking a bit differently about the government and the fact that we're not supported. And it's really tough for, you know, and then you got that feeling of you're working hard, but you're not getting ahead. So it's like, so then I sort of started getting interested in looking at stocks as well, and shares, and but then I was questioning them a bit as well. So I'm just like, oh, don't know. The other thing is, you know, for a few years, I've sort of like, I feel that we've definitely been lied to about inflation. You know, like I'm like, it's way more than 2 point something%. You know, so just things like that. Yeah.
So okay. So it'd be fair to say then that what you're trying to you become aware, and you're aware of inflation, you're aware that it's hurting you, and you're looking around to find something that might help you outrun inflation, so that you feel like you go to work and the money that you make from going to work, if you're managing to save a little bit of it, there's actually a point to saving it, and then you're just looking for somewhere to save it. Is that reasonable?
That's exactly right. And I think the first thing I did when I started to think down those sort of lines was, okay, first of all, I'll start sort of, you know, because the savings account that I had with the bank account was 0.2, maybe 0.3-ish% interest or something like that, you know, and they make me feel like that's great. So I'm like, okay, so the first thing I did was I went to just one of the online banks for 5% interest. And I'm like, okay, that's a start, you know, so you get, you know, at least you're growing it a little bit. But then it's like, you know, again, the way the economy is, 5% still not even really matching it. It's higher than that, and perhaps even getting worse, you know. So so just sort of starting to think a bit differently about, you know, we're told that we're sort of, well, we're led to believe that we're looked after by just following all the government schemes and, you know, not asking the big questions, and
and then hoping that you've got a pension or a super fund in your retirement that's going to keep you in it. Unfortunately, for most people out there, it's not. I mean, I'll just thanks for being. That's very personal, I guess. But I mean, I'll just for my own circumstances. I mean, I rent a house, and the house has recently been sold. Where fortunately, you know, it's been sold to an investor who wants to keep us on his tenants. Where it's been stressful, but whatever, it's okay. But our rent just went up 31%.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not 2. It's not even close to 2, right? So, and that hurts. It absolutely hurts, and it hurts. And I think it's getting to the point now where maybe if it's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, people are like, oh, it's fine. I don't really have to talk about it. I can probably do something that gets me out of this hole. But when it starts to be double digit or, you know, higher double digits, no, you can't outrun it just by, trying to, I'll get a pay rise at work or something. People start doing second jobs, third jobs, or whatever it is you have to start doing. So yeah, I think, and the problem I think is for a lot of folk is like there's probably I say that I don't mean this and that, that's like an embarrassment factor. It's like you used to be able to do this, and you're providing for yourself, your family, whoever it is. And then all of a sudden you're not, and you're like, you haven't done anything wrong. You just kept going to work.
No, something's changed. Yeah,
and something has changed exactly.
Yeah,
one of yeah, I don't know about you, Bernie, but one of the sort of biggest eye-opening things for me, becoming a Bitcoiner, was just seeing or realizing that, stimulus checks from the government, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't solve the problem. Like a few years ago, I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'll take $800 from K-Rad or whatever it was, to stimulate the economy, because it seems like it's just free money. And even to the point where I know there's books in the library that over the last few years about UBI, Universal Basic Income, which I don't know if you know about that, but that's basically just means everyone has a base wage. So everyone gets paid, and they start sort of on a level playing field. I'm like, fuck, that's a great idea. But it's fucking not, because where does the money, where's the money come
magic
from?
tree? It's like it's kind of fair enough. If it's coming out of some budget somewhere, it's been reallocated from, I don't know, the defense budget into the stimulus budget. That's fine, because there's no new money. If you start creating new money, all you're doing is running inflation, monetary inflation, which eventually will feed down into consumer prices.
You kind of like, just, if you're lucky, you can match it, by making, even like what, some of the YouTube stuff that I've checked out, that they're right in saying that even some of the really good, ETF sort of shares and that, you can sort of match inflation at the best, so sort of, you start to think about taking risks, and I'm at a point now where I'm not going all out on it, but like, I'm not putting all my money into Bitcoin, but I don't care about taking risks. I'd rather at least have had a go. That's my mindset now, because
I feel like you're in a similar boat to where I was early on, because first thing that I did as well, when I actually had a little bit of cash, was I'm like, right, I want to finally get into the share market. So I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I bought some mining shares. I don't fucking remember, it's like a bloody casino in a way. You just go, this, a bit of diversification, all that kind of stuff. Just thinking I'd have a crack. But then I'm talking to my neighbor, and he's like, oh yeah, this one's going to be good. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So I try that. But then he's holding on to that one and selling this one because it's just gone up. And and then anyway, so I guess
there's no actual strategy you're following. You're just trying to do something different, hoping for the best. Right.
No, that's right. And then at some point, right around that time, we had our great lunch.
The lunch.
So Hats took me for lunch, because he's been a Bitcoiner for a long time, right? And he'd not keep bringing it up, but bringing it up, in social situations or wherever, and to the point where his wife, who always did it, I guess, would kind of apologize and say, oh man, he's going again, which she doesn't do anymore, funnily enough.
Yeah, she's coming on board.
And then so I went to Hats at some point and said, all right, talk to me about it, and Hats ejaculated in his pants then and there. So
and I've not cleaned up since. It's the thing that I've sort of come to realize over years is I used to care about what I cared about, and I tried to tell that to people and whatever, but then actually what matters is you have to try and meet the person where they are. So you have to understand like what their circumstances are, what their age is, what their income is to a level, what's a reasonable thing to, and then what their interests are, all that kind of thing. And then you can say, well, okay, you're pick something, right? You're a florist or something, right? Okay, well, so what's happening there? Is the price of flowers going up, or is the price of your feed for your flowers going up, or what's happening with the wedding market? You have to think about the person's thing rather than your thing. And it's not always easy, but it's you start to rewire your brain a little bit and start doing that a little bit. So when you decided to buy some, what did you do? Like, did you just Google, or what happened then?
Yeah, well, that's when I was firing a few questions at Brendan, because obviously it's just even that is it's quite for me, and I'm not a massively tech savvy person. I try to stick clear of technology as much as I can. I've had to get better at it since I've been back at teaching. But I'm not that good with that stuff. So I was firing some questions at Brendan, what's the process? And then I'm like, okay, I'll just start very small just so I can sort of get used to it. And I think that's important too, just start with $100 or something like that. So I started with I was going to do CoinSpot, but then I used Hard Block because suggested that. So I did that, and then I've put it into the hot wallet. I haven't got anything in a cold wallet yet. But I'm confident now that I know kind of, because I know the process so far, that's probably what I'll do soon. But
sorry, mate. Just I'll stop you there, because even that I think is really impressive that you've gone so quickly to looking at cold storage from like what 3 months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It took me a lot longer than that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, it's probably
you're doing your research.
Yeah, since you probably first got into it, it's probably like more. It's probably a lot more YouTube instruction and whatnot. So I was checking out that stuff as well, and but that brings about probably a first big question that I've got, too. So, obviously the thing is with Bitcoin, it's viewed as by the people who are really big fans of it, and they, put a lot of trust in it, like Michael Saylor and, all that sort of line of thinkers. They're going, it's the best thing about Bitcoin is that it's not a physical asset like gold, but really cold storage is a physical asset because it's like it's the keys, if you know what I mean. So I'm like, that's sort of something that I'm sort of like, I'm sort of a bit wary about, if you've got like, say, heaps of money invested and sort of, you're drunk one night, or you've given the keys to your kids and they're like, drunk when they're 18 with their friends. They're like, so things like that.
Great question. Super question. So, what I'd say there is, firstly, the Bitcoin is the intangibility of it is hard for people to wrap their heads around. Just as a just theoretically or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I try to do with folks there is say, okay, do you think there's a value in a digital song, right? Or we used to have a CD or a record or a tape or something like that, but now we're all just using streaming services, but we do still value them. So there is still a value in them, right? You're using a Netflix or something, so there is a value there. So a digital thing can have a value, but the problem is for a lot of folk is like, well, what about can that value be copied? Right. And then you're like, well, okay. And then that's where the proliferation of all these other cryptocurrencies came about. Right. In terms of the actual devices and stuff, like a Trezor or a Ledger or a Cold Card or a Jade or whatever. Right. All these products are basically just signing devices. Right. The Bitcoin doesn't ever move. The Bitcoin's the Bitcoin is essentially just numbers sitting on a ledger. Right. All these devices, and it's not a thing. People can't touch it. Nobody can take it. It's not it's not a tangible thing. All these devices do are basically signing devices to say, Hats, you, Bernie, you, Brendo, are the person who can move this bit of the Bitcoin that's sitting on the ledger. And it's not moving. All you're doing is just saying, okay, Brendo, you bought the coffees today. I'll send you some Bitcoin and
off this portion of the ledger.
Exactly. Or that signing device, and now that part of the Bitcoin can only be moved by your signing device.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think what Bernie's saying too, though, is that if you lose your cold card, or if you lose your Trezor or your Ledger or whatever,
absolutely. That's or if somebody else, like say your kids, they might sort of, you write down your password, you're 12 or whatever it is. They find it, and then they're 18 and they're drunk with their friends, and it's all gone.
And that's where a bit of personal responsibility comes in as well. So like people rely on third parties or banks to custody their money, whereas this is the next step as far as like actually taking personal responsibility for your wealth,
which is daunting because it's in a way
it totally is.
Very much so,
yeah.
So then you just get into, okay, what are the You can buy from a person, buy some Bitcoin from a person, you buy on an exchange, you can buy on a cryptocurrency exchange or a Bitcoin only exchange, which thankfully you've done. And then, you can just leave it there. But then essentially what you're doing is that's exactly the relationship you currently have with your bank.
Yeah.
Although your bank has some government guarantee, which may or not be good, but at least they have one. So, if somebody steals your money from the bank, at this point in time, you will be made whole by your bank. Now, whether that lasts forever, who knows? But so if you leave it on the exchange, essentially you're just leaving your Bitcoin in your Bitcoin bank.
Yeah.
Which is largely unregulated, right?
Yes.
So then the incentive is to bring it out into your custody, some form of your custody, which could be a hot wallet on your mobile phone, or it could be a sign-in device like a cold card or whatever you're talking about before. But then, yes, you have these keys, basically just a password and a long password that you're the person that can move. So those keys become incredibly important, right? So it's almost like saying, you could give me your bank account number and I could send you money to your bank account, but you wouldn't give me your login and password, right? So I can send to you, but I can't take from you. I could only take from you if I had the password. That's what your keys are.
Yes.
And that's when that's when Brenda's exactly right. That's when the personal responsibility comes in. Like, holy shit, if what do I do with these words?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of like, just say even like when you just use the phone app, just say somebody gets access to your phone, then all they need is your password then, or even your computer, because I got it on my computer as well. So then they don't need the actual passphrase. It's just literally just the what's it called? Just the login, what is it? 6-digit, just the one password.
Or to get into an app.
Okay. Yeah. So
that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you would have two-factor authentication on your I don't know if I should say the wallet, but the wallet that I recommended that you used. So if you do actually try to send, I'm not sure if there's a threshold with it, but if you do try to actually send some Bitcoin, or somebody gets your phone and tries to send it, that two-factor authentication should kick in by sending you an SMS or an email.
Yeah, I don't think, what, Brennan? I don't think I've actually sorted that out. I don't think I've found that in the settings.
Okay.
Well, we need to get together and sort that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Because I've got it on my I got it on a laptop as well, and I'll have a look at. I definitely need to get that sorted. Yeah.
Well, we can help you with that.
What is, I think, helpful for people is thinking, think of it as like, if you have, let's say you have $100,000 in the world, right? And you don't treat all of those $100,000 the same, right? You might still be walking around with $20 cash in your pocket, right? You might have something on an app, and you might have something in the bank. Right. So this is where first of all, you have to take the number, like whatever the number is. I shouldn't use it. Let's say $1,000, right? You have to think of how important that $1,000 is to you. Firstly, it's like, okay, well, if you got $10 million and it's in gold bars and it's in a vault, that the $1,000 is probably just small fry. It's probably okay just to be a bit more lax with that, right? But if the $1,000 is your last $1,000 in the world, you probably want to be pretty fucking careful in terms of what you're going to do with that $1,000, because it's what you're spending your money on for dinner. So it's just like, and then only you can be the decider there. It's like, so that of that $1,000, maybe I want to have $800 absolutely locked up into cold storage that nobody can touch. Maybe I then want to have $150 on a hot wallet that I could spend, and then maybe I want to have $50 theoretically in my pocket, right? Like a lightning app or something. So it's just, that's the thought process too. It's like, okay, so how much do I have? How much what does that compare like to my fiat life? And then how should I treat that? And nobody else can make that call other than you.
And I guess there's like, I guess it's just a lot of sort of, as we're talking about before, you just keep learning more and trying new different sort of trying new ways of protecting it. Like, as the technology keeps improving as well, like
Yes.
so maybe even having your passcode in a really good safe or something like that. I don't know, like what people are doing, or or I saw this other thing, and it was like you could actually put it into something you can buy off the internet. You can cement it into something. There's some device, and you can put something like that.
Cement.
I've not seen the cement.
I know there's like a seed plate, like a steel seed plate. You can hammer it in.
Yeah, well, that's probably what it was. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe there's a product there.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We should we should create something.
Cementseed.com.
Well, I mean, that's like, can you imagine, right? Let's say you've got, $1,000 of Bitcoin, right? And you've got it, and you bought it on an exchange, you pulled it out of the exchange onto, a hot wallet or even a cold wallet, and you've got an all of a sudden you're managing your own keys. That's great. That's a great start. But you took those 12 words, you wrote them down on a piece of paper, and you put them in your top drawer, your sock drawer, right? And then your house burns down.
Yeah.
Right? You got a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Bloody problem. So and this is where these types of products, like a steel plate, where maybe the house does burn down, but the steel didn't burn, and you could sift through your house and find that bit of steel that's important to you, right? And then other folks will get into, okay, well, maybe I need to have a piece of steel at my house and also another piece of steel at my dad's house, or that, and then but you can go as crazy, to as crazy lengths as you choose. And then I don't really want to complicate things too much, but then you can get a thing called multi-sig, where essentially you can only move your Bitcoin if you have 2 of 3 keys or 3 of 5 keys, or you can go as far as you like. So let's say Brendo was the person you trusted most in the world.
Why are you smirking?
You crazy man. But maybe it would be that you gave a key to Brendo, and you kept a key at your house, and you also kept a key at a family member's house, and then none of those independently could move the Bitcoin, but 2 of those together could.
Yeah, I get you.
So that's multi-sig, but that's probably.
I
would say you're too early for that.
Yeah, well, I reckon like obviously it's how much you invest into it too. Like obviously for anybody that sort of owns, like say, I reckon like put a figure on it. Probably 1/10 of a Bitcoin or more. I reckon that's where where you've got to start sort of trying to really protect it a bit more. I reckon like
every sat is precious. Like every sperm is sacred.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that, because I was looking at all the sats, and I'm going, wow, wouldn't it be good if the decimal could be moved all the way to the end, so it actually starts from you know what I mean, like
the sat is the main unit.
Yeah. Like the sat, the 1 sat equals 1 Aussie dollar.
I mean, I think that's where it's going.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, because obviously, is his name Peter Dumworth? Is it or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, he's kind of, some of the figures he puts out there aren't far off that. So it's interesting. So that and I think that brings about a lot of other questions, like obviously it's going to grow. It'll grow. The more people that gain interest in it, the more it'll grow, and the more big, like say if the big banks, especially the US banks and whatnot, if they start investing into it, it'll definitely grow. But I can't fully see how they can be that optimistic, if you know what I mean. Like it's like Peter Dumworth, and like maybe like in our lifespan, I just don't see how it could happen that quickly. Like I don't know. Like,
have you heard the term gradually then suddenly at all?
That
gets thrown around a lot. So the idea with that, I suppose, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hats, is that that Bitcoin Bitcoin does just tick away every 10 minutes, tick, 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 tick. And then at some point, I guess it's like a event horizon where governments, banks, nation states, people just go, shit.
Like a social awakening or something.
Like an awakening. Yeah. So they realize then that, this thing is so like verifiably scarce that
Yeah.
And I need to get me some. And it's like a huge rush. And then it's like kind of gradually then bang, because there's not enough supply to cater to everyone.
Kind of like, I guess the similar to gold in that sort of sense. The history of gold. But I think the thing is that I just think it's confusing as well for people to jump on board, because it's not really it's up and down like a yo-yo sort of thing, so they're not to look at it as a money source. It's not consistent, so with our money, you've got $10, you can, it's going to be worth $10, but with Bitcoin, $10 could go to $12, or it could go back to $6.
Yeah, but that comes back to the inflation argument, right? So your $10 is never going to be $10 again. It's always going to be worth less.
I know,
and that's undeniable.
That absolutely is, but it's going to erode. To Bernie's point, it's going to erode currently just now. Certainly for a country like Australia, it's going to erode at a much slower, less volatile pace than Bitcoin.
At the moment,
at the moment, yes. So Bitcoin absolutely is a volatile asset, and anybody tries to convince you that it isn't is lying to you.
Yeah,
it will continue. It will continue to be volatile, but all that means is that you just have to position yourself, and like in terms of like a percentage of your wealth, that you're comfortable with that volatility, right? So let's say I wanted to pay all of my grocery bills in Australian dollars. I should be keeping all of those dollars in Australian dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say I also have a portion of my wealth that I wanted to save for retirement. Well, I can think about that long term, and the short term volatility, I'm not really caring if it's $6 or $12, because it doesn't actually matter, because I'm not spending that money. So I think first and foremost, people have to see it as like a savings tech. So they go, okay, I've got $5 at the end of the week. I can put $5 over there and just forget about it. And it's only $5. So if it goes to $4 next week, it's not a problem. But it shouldn't be eating into, excuse the pun, your house budget, your house food budget or something like that.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I've got to be careful with too, because, I get pretty, I can, especially my mindset at the moment, I could take pretty big risks, but I'll probably, I'm definitely considering putting the, because I got some extra money from the shares, and I'm thinking about putting that into Bitcoin as well, because I'm sick of like looking at the shares all the time, and I don't want to be the sort of person who looks at Bitcoin every day either. Like I just want to sort of, I think it's for my mindset, and you'd probably be the same, like both you guys. It's probably best off sort of having one risk that you sort of, because I still feel it is a bit of a risk. So, one risk asset to invest in, rather than 5 or 6,
Yeah.
like you do in shares. So, but it's it's definitely interesting, and I can see, like Michael Saylor, like he's like, I was watching some of his stuff, and he's just so like, I guess people like that who have invested a lot into it, they're going to want more people to get into it, because the more people that get into it, the more they make as well. So there's that as well. So
definitely, but guys like that, and I'm not a criticism of Michael Saylor, but guys like that, he also has a business that kicks off 30-40 million a year. Right. So he could put his entire net worth into Bitcoin and be bullish as fuck and take on debt and all sorts of things. But he still has a business that's kicking off 30-40 million.
He's got his yachts.
He's got income, right? He's got US dollar, Aussie dollar, whatever income. So, he's not worried about how he's paying the shopping bill, right? Not at all. There's no.
That's right.
There's not a problem there for him. So And I think for anybody going, frankly, I mean, my own opinions don't really matter, but I think anybody, certainly at the beginning, taking too much risk that they're uncomfortable with is just not the right thing to do.
No, it's not good for your mindset. Yeah.
It's not good for your mental health. It's probably not good for your stress levels, all sorts of things. But the flip side of that is, yes, Brendo's right. Like, fiat is going to debase. That is a mathematical certainty. It's going to be worth less over time. So the question there for me is, okay, well, if you take a Peter Dunworth, and I'm probably more bullish than Peter, but
oh really?
But yeah, but he has some crazy big numbers, right? But let's take Pete and let's imagine for a second we think Pete's mental, right?
Yeah,
he won't mind me saying this, right?
No.
But in your head you have to go, okay, how mental do I think Pete is? Is he 99% mental? Okay. Yeah. Well, if I think he's 99% mental, that means 1% of me thinks he could be right. And that's your number.
Yeah.
That's where you start until you build your own conviction.
Yeah, well, that's right. And like obviously Peter's I was texting this to Brendan. Like obviously he's a very smart guy, and he's he knows what he's talking about. It's just sort of wrapping your head around all the numbers and that, and I can definitely see it happening. It's just like I think it's for me. It feels like it should be slower than what people are saying. Some of those guys are perhaps saying, but who knows?
You don't know, yeah. And I think Bitcoin, and people have said this before, it's either going to zero or it's going to infinity, and there won't be an in between.
Yeah,
there won't be an in between, but there will be time, right?
Oh,
there will be a time in between. That's the thing.
Right? Oh, entirely.
And it's like, so yeah, it's absolutely a binary play.
Yeah.
Yes or no, but there's going to be a
scale controversial to talking about binary in 2023. Okay, can we go to shitcoins / altcoins, mate? So you have asked me about others, and are you looking at them at the moment, or any of them at the moment? And do you have any questions for us in that regard?
Yeah. No, I was kind of like looking at because I followed this guy I was checking out this guy on YouTube. His name's
Nugget News.
Brian Invest, his name is. He's a legend, and he's he actually got me interested in looking at shares. So but he's out of the coins, he does Bitcoin and Ethereum. How do you pronounce it?
Ethereum.
It doesn't really matter, mate.
No, let's not
but anyway, no, I just don't want to confuse myself. So I just thought, Bitcoin was the first one. So it makes sense to me that because I don't want to, again, I don't have enough money to sort of go over the top with too many. So I just thought, I'll just stick with Bitcoin. And so I haven't looked too much into it, to be honest with you. Any others?
Okay. Well, this isn't financial advice, but well done.
Absolutely well done. I mean, the way I think about that is that Bitcoin is trying to solve the money. We're talking about the money problem. You're fully aware of the money problem, right?
Yes.
So, and that is what Bitcoin is trying to solve. And there is no central point. There's no Mr. CEO of Bitcoin that you can go and complain to if you fuck something up or if I fuck something up. But likewise, there's no Mr. CEO of Bitcoin if the government doesn't like it, right? Bitcoin is going to tick along whether people like it or not, and it's for everybody, regardless of whether you like them or not. So it's going to be there. Basically, everything else is either like a foundation, an individual, a corporation, a bunch of VCs, something that's trying to sell you a token. Now, maybe it's a good thing. Give me a second. Give me a second. But like maybe somebody is maybe there some value in something that somebody's trying to create. But I tell you for fucking sure what that is not. It's not money.
Yes.
Right. It might be the next Qantas miles. It might be the next flybys.
Yeah.
It might be a rewards program, but it is not fucking money.
Yeah.
Right. So if you believe that the problem, as I do, I'll not put words in anybody else's mouth. I believe the problem is the money. Right, that is the problem I think needs fixed. So therefore, I'm looking for a solution for the money, and there is only a solution for the money. So, that's why I would steer clear of it. But if people want to go speculate on flybys points, knock yourself out. I'm not going to stand in your way. Yep. But just be fully aware that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's massively speculative.
True.
Sorry, that's me on my rant.
Well, that makes a lot of sense too. And I think also, I'd rather sort of do something that's a bit more long term. I don't want to be sort of buying and selling and buying and selling. And I feel that Bitcoin is a bit more of a buy and hold sort of strategy that you can use, and as you were saying before, less stressful too. I think if you're doing the trading thing, and you've got to buy and sell every few days or every week, whatever, it's not the stress that I want at the moment. So,
because also people have life to get on with, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you've got jobs and stuff, and yeah.
The vast majority of people are never going to understand the tech. Just the same way as I don't know how a radio works or my car works, but I know that they work.
You know how a plasterer's radio works. Little inside joke,
but you give it to me. Yeah, so I just tried to wipe the surface down, but nothing would happen. I think the vast majority of people will never understand this, but it will work, and it will work for them, and they'll use it. And I think we're getting there. Things are being. It is complicated, and it is daunting to begin with. But I think the more people learn, the more they're interested in learning. But also, the most important thing is that it works for people. It just works.
Yeah.
And then,
all right. Have you got any other questions? Like, you got something?
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what. Something that's interesting for you guys. Obviously, firstly, the recent crash. It's gone down about
9%. You said to me or something. I think you.
Yeah. Because again, I'm not going to keep. Even like with the stocks, I was checking them too much, but I have been like, I'm not going to lie, I've been doing a little bit with Bitcoin, just looking at the prices.
You can't help yourself, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But really quickly, it just sort of crashed about $6,000 or something, and apparently people were saying that it could have been because Elon Musk sold a shitload. But, so sometimes I think, some of these, some of the wealthiest people in the world, are they kind of doing it as a tactic, like they might be selling it for a bit and then to buy it again, or who knows? So,
well, my understanding was Starlink was a furphy. It wasn't actually
SpaceX or Starlink.
Oh, what did I say? Sorry, SpaceX.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was it Wall Street Journal or someone just ran this story that they sold Bitcoin, but they didn't actually sell Bitcoin?
Well, we don't. I don't think we know.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, firstly, with anybody that tells you they know why the price has gone up or down, they're a fucking liar. They don't know, right? Yeah. What you will get is hundreds of people telling you, because what they want to do is bring your eyeballs to their magazine or website or whatever, saying, "Oh, Bitcoin crashed" or "Bitcoin ran to the moon," and that's the clickbait that they need to get you onto their website, to get you viewing their adverts, to looking at whatever that they do.
Yeah.
Most of those stories are absolute garbage. Now, does that mean some people can't have an opinion on why the price has gone up or down? No, of course not. Like, and so maybe there is something to do with SpaceX. Maybe it's the fact that BlackRock are trying to create an ETF and they need to get a barrel load of Bitcoin, and they might be feeding stories into the market to crash the price to buy a whole load of Bitcoin so they can feed it to their customers in 6 months' time. It could be anything.
Yeah, I actually thought that as well. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So, but who knows? We don't. It's not worth over speculating into. Yeah.
No, it's interesting as a sort of thought provoking conversation, but
true.
I wouldn't get yourself too tied up in it, because if I ever thought that I would have all the inside information as to why the price of Bitcoin or anything for that matter went up or down, I need to just check my ego at the door, because I didn't. Neither does pretty much everybody.
Yeah. So what you'll find, I imagine you'll find, if you do sort of hodl for a long time, is that you'll worry less and less about dips, and you see them as like a sale and an opportunity to get sats for cheaper. And that's it. So, because I know when you message, you're like, well, is this something to be worried about, or is it just like going to be cheap Bitcoin? I'm like,
I got a bit more of it, man.
That's it.
Well done, sir.
That's it.
Sweet. But it's it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's a either way, I don't care. Because I feel like my money's getting like just burned away from inflation anyway. So it's and I'm just like, I've got nothing to lose really. So
well, this is the case. Like, obviously, we're sitting in Australia, right? So some of our listeners will be here, some of them will be overseas, but like. We're in yes, things are difficult just now. And, personally, I've just found out recently with my rent and everything, but compared to some other countries, we're in a fucking really good position, right? If you're in a country that's like an Argentina or Lebanon or something, or Turkey that's got crazy inflation that's absolutely rampant, it's got to the point now where Bitcoin isn't risky, right?
No.
Yeah.
Because it's Venezuela. It's like all-time high at the moment.
There you go. I didn't know that. So
was that or Argentina? But I think
I think it's Argentina, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, Argentina, all-time high Bitcoin. It's all relative, man.
Yeah. So there'd be a lot of people like kind of rebellion buying. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, keep going, Hatch. Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, for some folk right now, yes, we're looking at the risk side of it, but people need to look in their own circumstances. Like, what are things doing in you, wherever it is that you are? And if your inflation is running at 25% plus, then probably Bitcoin is already not risky for you.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
But if you're sitting in Australia where we're being told our inflation is running at 6 or something, it isn't. But let's say let's give them the benefit of it. Let's say they're right. It is still Bitcoin is going to be more volatile than 6%.
Yeah,
so we just need to factor that into the thinking. But
is it more volatile than 25%?
I mean, who knows?
Depends how long you buy and hold.
That's exactly right. Yeah. We should ask you questions. That's exactly right.
But it's interesting, isn't it? But you're right, and like also, we've actually got it awesome over here compared to a lot of other countries. But some other countries, even the banks freezing people's accounts, and then people not even getting their money back, or only a small percentage. Like, I think it's very important to look at what's going on in the rest of the world, and it's just. It's people just don't have much power. So I think people are going to jump on risky. Well, it's not as risky, but it feels risky when you make a decision to do something different, So
man, I'm impressed.
Super impressed, man.
The amount of like thinking and work you've done in such a short amount of time is awesome.
Oh well, I checked. I think it's just YouTube, like I think it's like I had to, I had to check out a fair bit on YouTube to make sure that I kind of learn as much as I could. But I feel that the more it's, like a lot of things, the more you kind of jump in, the less you know.
Oh, definitely. And if you appreciate that, that's half the battle. Like, if you know that you're like, oh my god, I'm way cleverer than that guy over there, but I'm still the stupidest guy in the other room, right?
Oh,
if you understand that, that's the best place to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All I would say about YouTube, and this is true of everywhere, and like the Bitcoin information has got, like, there are plenty of guys out there that are really, and girls out there putting out some great content. Which, and I'm a listener, a viewer, what a consumer as well. But there's so much shit as well.
There is.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, you just gotta use your bullshit filter and.
Oh, mate, it's the same as like.
That's Brendo.
Oh, mate, no, well, it's the same as like when I used to check out a lot of golf tips. Like, I actually started playing the worst golf in my life.
Well, I know all about that, mate. Anytime we play golf, you just give me a little tip. And you fuck me up.
No, that tip I gave you was awesome, Brendan. You just had to stick with it, man.
Oh, which one? I remember last time we played, you gave me some tip and I went really shit. And you were like, oh, Brendan, maybe forget that one. And then I came good again.
What do you play off, Bernie?
6.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay, we're never
6. You're 6 now.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm not playing in the comps at the moment, but I was on 6. So I reckon now when I have a game, I'd probably play off about. It's not playing as much, maybe about 8 or 9.
Oh, yeah, that's solid. Yeah, that's good.
All right, we got to hit the golf.
But remember the last game I played with you, Brendan, I couldn't putt. Remember, I was like 4 putting, and
where was that? At Port.
At Port.
Yeah.
Just could not putt. So yeah.
Well, we love our golf, and we'd love to go again, man. So
Well, I'd love to come and give you some more tips, man.
he would actually really enjoy Murrah, I think.
Absolutely. We'll bring him.
Yeah, Bush Bash, mate. In November, there's a 2-day thing in Murrurundi, which is like a little tiny town near Scone. Yeah, Hunter Valley. Is it Hunter?
I guess so.
Anyway,
I guess.
Yeah, if you can get the time. It's a really cool weekend with just solid Bitcoiners talking Bitcoin. They answer any fucking question you have.
Yeah,
beers, steak. It's the best.
And this year, I think the Thursday is going to be a golf day. I think.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
I hope so. There are guys who are golfers. Well, I'm a golfer, but not much of a golfer compared to your 6. But we're trying to get a golf day that happens before it too, or after sometime around it too.
We'll go and have a hit and some beers and even GRP Ambrose game or something. Yeah,
right. Sounds perfect.
Bring your guitar, mate.
Yeah, we can have a jam as long as you sing though, man. I miss hearing you sing.
Oh, thank you, Bernie.
Is this why we're here? Is this the real reason?
Oh, mate, he reckons I can't sing for shit.
Oh, have you shown him some of the old CDs and that, the LB stuff? And
no, I haven't. I think I showed him a video on like a YouTube video, and he's like, "Yeah, that's still shit," because he's a prick.
He's got to hear more. Well, he might like sort of what sort of music are you mainly into?
Oh, mate, I'll listen to all sorts of things.
Except for me,
I'm mostly just having a go because it's funny, but and because I can't sing worth shit, so it's easier to do it that way. But yeah, man, I'll listen to anything.
Awesome.
It's depends what kind of mood I'm in, I always find that sort of weird question, like what music do you like? Is like there's one band like if I had to pick one, I probably would, but like it's hard.
We'll
right?
do it now.
Stones.
What's your one band? Stones,
definitely.
Oh, you're not a Beatles guy,
but I like the Beatles too. But like not into this Stones versus Beatles. But I'm like, I might wake up some days and go, I don't really want to listen to the Stones.
Yeah, right.
I think it
depends on your mood, though. You're absolutely
totally.
right. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
All right, I think the Bitcoin conversation's ended, so I might hit.
Sorry, we've gone off. We were using the analogy of too many golf tips, too much Bitcoin information, and equals confusion.
That's idiots.
That is a brilliant analogy, right? If for any of the golfers out there, when somebody is giving you 17 things and you're trying to think about all of them at the same time,
shitcoins.
No, well, yeah, they're true. But like, you can't hit a ball worth shit because you're trying to think about too many things. Yep. And you really should just focus down on one thing that you could maybe focus on today, like go and do that on the course today.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you should do in Bitcoin. Just ignore all the other shit. Just take one little thing and go, this is the one little thing I'm going to try and make a little bit better today.
That's right. Yeah,
and you will.
It's that feeling of being overwhelmed. Just doesn't help any of us. So
yeah.
All
right, Bernie. We might leave it there, buddy. Thanks.
Too easy, mate. It's like I've got what I'll do is write down a lot of questions because I had a lot of questions actually.
No, you're done. We're not having you back.
Yeah. Oh no, come on. I'm talking just for I'll send you some text, Brendan, like 5 million texts.
Well, this is what you did to me, so
I know. No, bring it on, mate.
Yeah.
Like honestly, we'll go for a hit of golf. That's the best way to do it, I think.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, buddy.
Too easy.
Great to meet you, man. Hopefully we'll see you again.
Thanks, mate.
Take it easy. All right. See you.
Bye.